Namo Manjoshi, Namo Zoshi, Namo Namashi, O Namo Manjoshi, Namo Zoshi, Namo Namashi, Ye Shedang Toge Chonala, Janjo Mano Nani Gyazuji, Dagi Chuje Jibe Sonangi, Rola Benje Sange Ruma Jo, Shedang Toge Chonala, Janjo Bado Dani Gyazuji, Dagi Chuje Jibe Sonangi, Rola Benje Sange Ruma Jo. Shedang Toge Chonala, Janjo Bado Dani Gyazuji, Dagi Chuje Jibe Sonangi, Rola Benje Sange Ruma Jo. Bege Shushi Pedro Zhao, Rira Li Shi Ni Te Ken Ba Te, San Ge Xin Du Mi Te Ba Ye, Zhe Ge Nan Da Xin La Zhe Ba Shu, Gu Ru Ren Na Men Da La Gang Ni Ya Da Ya Mi.
운동하지는 신경이다. 통이 다 진데 이만하지 거든지 뭐 저다 이마마지 뭐 진짜 마시 봐라. 통지 뭐 저거 진짜 만드는 대원데 저원도 고로 지금 님 봐시 뭐래. 대가 끼지자 문제 진짜 만드는 대원데 그래서 그거를 되는 점 된 거지. 된 거가 저거 되다 신이 발라마나 신진도 so 어떻게 매가지는 정말 있어.
Please adjust your sitting posture according to the 7 meditative postures of Vairocana. Think, all sentient beings have been my mothers. All sentient beings have been my mothers not just once, but numberless times. All sentient beings are as kind as my mother in this life. Even though all kind mother sentient beings want happiness and do not even want a small suffering due to mistakenly engaging with objects of adoptions and abandonment, they do not experience any happiness but suffering. In our minds, sincerely cultivate loving kindness towards all kind mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all kind mother sentient beings were to have excellent happiness and its causes that are virtues. May they have excellent happiness and its causes. I will cause them to have excellent happiness and its causes. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so.
Just doing this, you get a tongue, she doing that, the Muji Jun, you are the Jim, Joe, Chico, Joe, that which I would do the same. Lama, she did so, so it is never to
Next, we cultivate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all sentient beings were free from all suffering and the causes of suffering that are non-virtues. May they be free from all suffering and its causes. I will cause them to be free from all suffering and its causes. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so.
Dumajines is the tongue, she called and so we want to do Kusula, Kunyaran, project that he does not have something comparable. Get up on the Kusula, not about something like see the tongue, something comparable with the general profession. What is never going to change sequence?
Next, we cultivate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and low ranks? I should take the responsibility. Even though I should take the responsibility, I do not have the ability to place them in the state of perfect, complete enlightenment now. Who has such ability? Those perfect, complete Buddhas have the abilities to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will achieve the precious state of enlightenment.
더 대지도 더 공부도 이 기대 타대 강도로 만들어 지지도 동안이 사실 공부는 좀 상당히
Next, we meditate on emptiness for a short while. The self and the aggregates neither exist as inherently one nor as inherently different. Thus, is empty of inherent existence.
그걸로 저도 계속이 통지되는 상지지 공부도 대지도 담비 취해서 그냥 지금 좀 예선 제가 공부도 사투좀 공부하고 취해서
Set a good motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. For these, I will listen to the holy teaching and practice properly in order to benefit sentient beings.
그러면서 서지들에서 뭔가 빨리 제발은 봐봐 제발이 이런 뭐 싸워서 그냥 그런다 이dim만 개통지 전제 나오는 이거 같아 저부 딱히 쳐나와 전제 문도 제발 용원지가 강의가 저 냐이네 바 디제당 저부 딱히 거나야 신진고가 제발 토번지가 강의가 상진이 좀 있을 것 같아 어떻게 막
The outline is explaining that it is superior to the analogy. And under this outline is the next two lines of verse 130 and 131 and 132. They say, just as subjects behave towards a fierce king, I should please sentient beings. Even if such a king were to become angry, could he cause the harm of hell, which is what I would have to experience by displeasing sentient beings? And even if such a king were to be pleased, he could not possibly grant me Buddhahood, which is what I would obtain by pleasing sentient beings.
나도 된다냐고 말 된다 비디는 나도 빼내 제바도 봐봤어 와도 나도 빼다 저번에 빼셔다 하나 제바 봐도 되는 뭐 간다 되기를 된다라고 저거 이거 간다 저거 올라고 이거 좀 그때 저거 하자 공부체다 나제치다 자꾸 되게 lembo 가시와 lembo에서 간다 저거를 해시 내가 내가 저거 하자 그 투년고 유아치도 배서도 쉬부지 그거 저거 투년고 유아치 저거 생고에 시야치도 배서도 마지막이나 저거 되게 하자 그 제가 잡고 앞에 노롱지라서 마지야다 가와다 영화다 깜발라서 막 투야다 되게 때 저거 먹고 지쳐 쇼바이나 되게 저거 괜히 지켜봐 그래서 간 땅에서 우지라서 마지 가야다 강나라서 되게 또야 되게 내실라 시에 다시 나중에 그 저거 통과하셔야 지도 간다서도 지도 지금 그래서 그래서 저기 가다 저거 투년 바이마지 저 내가 가르나 지도 저거 생고아 지가 야고지 제도 와이나 고서 저거 통과하 지가 야고지 제도 와이나 다 저거 그냥 이제 그 수도 평가를 통해서나 다 센들라 수도 노롱 지라서 맞리야 비슷하고 야고지 받아 야 고사 뱀볼라서 리야 통제 받아 되게 야 저거 해서 되게 또 저거 고아시나 페이트 리스트도 가지고 저거 망고 쉐바이나 저거 툴로 먹어나 다 가나 제바도 리어버지 다 드리어도 다 가다 저거기 제바되다 저거기 통과시도 이제 그 표현되니 다 빼되는 하바 알아보다 빼되는 하바 나는 니도와 저거기 빼 고아 제바이나 다 소연하다는 제라서 받도 되게 신바다 너와 왕샤라서 받도 주지에 체들라 저거다 다 대다 마주바이나 저거 세문고 제가 되게 내가 놓치 줘바이나 저거 제바라서 받도 되게 체들 되게 누구야 노롱지 내봤어요 되게 제가 지금 해서 다 대다 대송 빼대래 하바 가르스나 다 같이 선진고와 와 맞아 선진고와 제바이나 다 제가 봐做들어 선진고와 제바이나 내가 가당 맞아 저는 대래 상지지 공부해야 돼 신지 동고와 시바는 맞아 저는 상지지 공부해야 돼 되게 제부터 리어레스 제부 치워 이게 저보기 这不这样谁东西平有的农业这个现在农业这个往他这个这个话我的新疆国是吧呢我这边来进这不这个搞的是做不上进去不把头你这不得到气了也这不得了他吧那个脚步给得了他吧是吧但脚步看到车的上进去恐怕他这个这样你把给要嘛是吧我要不通过这个呢我的新疆我这新疆国这边呢得了他是上进去不把头对你把有意思大概这新疆国嘛这吧新疆的那个就把他说的话的但等这些结果呢我得了对你们瞧那个脚步得了脚步签的老板对吧刚把老师把他弄弄就老师搞把得了吧但得了你们瞧可是呢但新疆那完了呗搞不忙不就了等于弄个你这不等于有意思等于这不得脚步给呀切把这就是脚步切把给这样你把给要嘛是搞给这都嘛是脚步呗我说你这个这不得上去是不把对呀给这都嘛是平的等于满地把这个通过马西把给那么进这不得但申请那完了各把忙不弄个等于这个等于那个脚步这样的你把给嘛是这个弄这个嘛是我到别的差不切把他的是那个切把他说我建议的是我等到都是去看嘛你那么多次对吧你都得是
So here is under the outline of explaining that it is superior to the analogy, right? So he explained the meaning is superior to the analogy. So the analogy is linked to previous verse that it talks about the example of a king, and then with ministers and also those servants of the king, and then these servants and also ministers of the king, then they will please the king. So then they will be very careful in their behaviors, very careful in their behaviors, in not making the king, in not angering the king or making the king angry. And through this, by pleasing the king, then they will be free of the faults of, or they will be free of being, they will not be punished, for example, being their possessions or their resources being taken away, or their receive the punishment such as being cut their limbs and their legs and etc. being cut and etc. So they will not receive such punishment. So if these servants of the king or ministers and etc. subjects, if they please the king, then the king will have has the power and has the resources that he can give to the subjects who pleases the king, and also promote them to a higher rank or higher positions, or even given them a greater authority and etc. So, on the contrary, if those subjects of the king do not please the king, then the king will punish them, for example, take away their possessions, resources, and cause them suffering such as cutting off their limbs and etc. So through these two analogies, and then the meaning are superior to these two analogies. So the meaning is, if we were to please sentient beings, then through the accumulations of merit, one will achieve the results of enlightenment. And through not pleasing sentient beings, in other words, through harming sentient beings, then one will receive the faults of this action, which is one will experience the suffering result for eons in hell, or in hells of sentient beings. In other words, in hell realms. So in terms of pleasing, so the subjects are different. So in terms of pleasing, so pleasing sentient beings bring forth a greater result. The result is superior to the result brought forth by the king, or by pleasing the king. And similarly, if we do not please sentient beings, in other words, if we were to harm sentient beings, then the fault is much greater than the fault or the punishment that one would receive by not pleasing the king.
到底我来这个，我这个这边的朋友这个送的多，还有这边这个送这个，但这个做的东西，你这个送些多，但
这边朋友，
我这边朋友多，这边朋友多，但这边做的些多，但我的这边做的了，申请为了中央毛上去， do the shows it. That won't come out as a double and the rock. Let's see what the issue is.
Yeah, and next outline is the main result. So the main result also talks about the three qualities. So it talks about three qualities, the result. So then the first two lines of verse 133. It says, "Let alone my future attainment of Buddhahood, which comes from pleasing sentient beings." So this is quite similar to previous verse.
That you point the double in was sinking go achievable, Jebo Mova, the Sanji Pia, Sanji to the Pia, Sunny, that's sinking with his about Montevideo. The Bogon Patash was it, that same did the Shimmy negative answer. Yes, it's about this. That is that kept a Kaji did that Mandana, this Mada, Makaji, Sanji Topa. Rehi shoji ji tell the cheban pili ma study and get on dimaris wa just in dimaris
Rehi shoji sa de ande le da wore
what this mo ba sanji du ba ta sho si ji wa da da ranu bi le ta ku chi da da ji wa da ngama khaji gi sanji to ba ha cha kai de rehi sho was ne dire rehi shoji si da da dil chi was ri sha sho was da wa shoji shi de kan da che ba 이 말에서 가서 그 다쇼서 친들 리바 다쇼 파쇼 친들랑 가서 내가 직접 리플라티니 스포본이 그래서 되니 너무 되고 와 근데 이거 같이 산지 또 하자까 와레스 뜻다고 또 바꿔왔습니다 내래 이 효지비 되는 책에서 내리 말에서 내리 말에 친디기 통치진 게 하자 또 발라나 친디기 또 발라나 다 심리기 되는 고지나 다 산지래 또 바꿔그래 동호회에서 아주 시민을 대표해서 연대해서 하자 이제 농구 조가 모든 가지고 갈래가 보러 산지 농구 조제 돼서 그래서 누나들이 또 그래서 보러 내려 정부에서 누나들이 도와리스 누나들 같은 거또 두고 말이서 와 또니 딱 힘도 고지 전에 저다만 다 간다 누나들이 또 그래 힘다 정부 참아 그 팀발에서 딱 공부를 둘러서 봤어 나죠 보면서 봤어 간다 힘도 고지서 다 이치 누나들이 또 그바디 참아게 캐내 봐 제스 팀바 집어 그래서 참아게 대바 집어 했어 봐 이치 누나들이 또 힘도 고지서 이치 누나들이 또 그래서 아주 또 고지서 와다 힘도 고지 뒤쳐봐 쉬고 봐 고지서 와다 대배 이치 누나들이 보면 다 간다 상이 공부실에 되고 그 상지를 또 그래서 그래 되고 그래서 힘도 고지 되는데 다 힘도 고지 가서 다 심이 되버리고 봐 심이게 알리게 참고 이제 부서다 간다 맞지 심바도 먼저 그래서 심바도 먼저 유명해서 간다 이제 누나들이 보면 제 심만 좋아 심만 간다 그 간다 누나들이 또 맞지 누나들이 또 맞지 맞도 맞아 다 통지를 또 그렇게 해요 봐 어떻게 되시고
So the meaning of this first two lines of verse 133, it says, "By contemplating the benefits of my future attainment of Buddhahood, the result that comes from pleasing sentient beings, I should respect sentient beings and cultivate patience." So let alone that refers to the first lines of verse 133. So let alone that I should cultivate patience from the point of view of the temporal results of this and future lives. So some people explain this let alone my future attainment of Buddhahood. So they explain it to mean that so let alone, so leave it alone. So here in English, then it says let alone my future attainments of Buddhahood, right? So some explain it. So let alone my future attainment of Buddhahood is the correct interpretation or explanations of this verse. So let alone my future attainment of Buddha, then the benefits that you will receive from the point of view of temporal results of this and future lives. So you will receive benefits. The temporary benefits and also the ultimate benefits, which is the state of enlightenment. So some explain it, this let alone my future attainment of Buddhahood, to mean that leave it alone. So put it aside, my future attainment of Buddhahood. So because it is difficult to actualize. So because the Buddhahood is difficult to actualize, so leave it alone or put it aside. So however, this is not the correct interpretation or explanations of this line. So that when we talk about the results, so results of results of sin phenomena in this life. So result of sin phenomena in these lives also means that those results, those phenomena that we can observe or see in this life. So it's not difficult to understand. And however, as compared to that, then those very hidden phenomena, so such as future cause and effect. So those subtle cause and effect, those subtle future cause and effect, which are hidden phenomena, and they are very difficult to be realized, or they are very difficult to be they are very difficult to understand or realize the meaning. So therefore, we have to rely on Buddha scripture. So without relying on Buddha scriptures, then one will not be able to understand or to establish these subtle future cause and effect, such as through generosity, one will receive resources and etc. So these are to be established by relying on Buddha scripture. So, and if we and between hidden and very hidden phenomena, so hidden phenomena doesn't need to be established. Doesn't need to be established by depending on Buddha scripture. However, very hidden phenomena, they must be established by relying on Buddha scripture.
간다 신체라 폐다바다 신체 폐다네라 신체 가와시가 여러 신체 고와시가 신체라 폐다네 가와체바다 세바고비 제빈이들 간다 도도 디니들 신체로 폐다네 신체 고와시바다 세바고비 되긴 제비 피어시고로 되는지 제비 피어데 또 뭐만 상지지 고바도 예스 예 뭐만 제비 상지지 고바도 와다 대체 내가 맞아 노노지 비슨 소바 유하다 내다 채워다 깨다 채워다 로아 깨다 채워다 대게 바체 삼아서 잡아. 대게 바체다 잡아. 어디니 이거 스타도도 돼. 이거지. 다만 비행도 와 비행시.
So in brief, basically it talks about the benefits of pleasing sentient beings. It talks about the benefits of benefiting sentient beings, and it talks about the benefits of being patient with sentient beings. So the benefits of doing so is in the future one will achieve the state of enlightenment, and not only will one receive the ultimate benefits in this life as well, one will receive the benefits such as one become famous, and one will have one become resourceful, and then one will have lots of possessions, and then one will be free from direct and indirect obstacles. So next outline is the result in the present life, and under this outline,
this is life.
Yeah. So under this outline is next two lines of verse 133. He says, "Why do I not see that there will be great glory, fame, and happiness in this very life?" So the meaning of these two lines is, why do I not see that due to cultivating patience, there will be the great glory of extensive excellences, fame of renown, bliss, and happiness in this very life of sin phenomena? So in these very lives of sin phenomena basically means in this present life. So hence, I should make effort in pleasing sentient beings. Next outline is explaining the ripening result. Under this outline is verse 134. It says, while in secular existence, patience causes beauty, freedom from sickness, and fame. Because of these, I shall live for a very long time and win the prosperous pleasures of the wheel-turning kings. So in brief, as a method for not being trampled upon, So while circling in cyclic existence, patience causes beautiful form, excellent retinue, and the like, freedom from sickness, as well as great fame. So it talks about until we attain the ultimate result, which is the state of enlightenment, when we are still circling in samsara, through the cultivations of patience, then one will receive the results such as beautiful form, and then one will have excellent retinue, and then one will have good health, and then a long life, and as well as great fame. So because of this, I shall live for a very long time. So this talks about one will enjoy a long life and win the prosperous and extensive pleasures of the wheel-turning king.
세바 도디 세바 도디 그 군도서 대사 자원이 와서요 됐어 이지장 대하는 그만 제대하는 것을 됐어 오 근데 내가 저거 해서 다 근데 대사는 그 소화는 다 업적에서 공부하지 주소도 업적 공부하지서 그러와 이들에서 어디 sab지고 인물이다 가자 됐다 빠르게 되잖아 그래서 제가 소야 제가 시기가 아무도 내가 좀 내서 내리면 좀 좋아
디난 거 맞아 so yeah, having understood, so in brief, having understood the predominant anger, so predominant anger in another translation for this is strong anger. So in brief, having understood the strong anger, being disheartened with being disheartened in virtues and also the discordant classes such as undesirable. So having understood these three, strong or predominant anger, the second one is being disheartened in virtues and discordant classes such as undesirable. So through understand these three, then we apply the antidotes. So the antidotes to the first one, predominant or strong anger, is we need to cultivate the patience of disregarding harm. And then it means that if someone were to harm us, then we need to cultivate this patience of disregarding harm, means that we do not generate anger and then we do not retaliate. And the second one is being disheartened in virtues or virtuous qualities, then we need to cultivate the patience of accepting suffering or accepting hardships. So it means that we shouldn't feel discouraged, and then we shouldn't be disheartened, and then we should accept the hardships, and then we should develop the patience of accepting such hardship. And the third one is knowing the discordant classes such as those undesirables. Then in relation to these, we need to cultivate the patience of certainly knowing or certainly thinking about the Dharma. So the patience of certainly thinking about the Dharma, in other words, is so the patience of certainly thinking about the Dharma. So it means that we identify those undesirables, each and every undesirables, then we apply antidotes to each and every undesirable. So in relation to, so the first three talks about the objects of refutation, so object to be refuted, and then the next three talks about the three types of patience to remove or eradicate these three objects. So when our patience becomes powerful, so when we are able to develop a powerful patience, then the city of anger. So the anger is likened to a city. So then the city of anger, in other words, the place where anger stays will be destroyed. So then, this anger will not be able to remain even for a second, even for a minute, even for a second. Next outline is title of the chapter. So this is the commentary on the 6th chapter, the chapter called Relying on Patience, from the explanations of engaging in the Bodhisattva Deeds, called the entrance for the children of the conquerors. So this concludes the 6th chapter. So this chapter, the chapter of patience, so is concluded in 3 types of patience: the patience of disregarding harm, the patience of accepting suffering, the patience of certainly thinking about the Dharma. So then we start chapter 7, teachings on joyous effort. So under this chapter, the beginning of this chapter, then talks about the outline. So he says how to train in joyous effort. And under this outline, there are 2 divisions. The first one is explanations of the text of the chapter, and the second one is title of the chapter. So under the first division, explanations of the text of the chapter, again, it has 2 divisions. The first one is exhortation that one must undertake joyous effort, and how to make such joyous effort. So the first division, the actual exhortation that one must undertake joyous effort under this outline is the first verse of chapter 7. It's 7.1. So he says, with patience I shall undertake joyous effort. Enlightenment will dwell in those who strive. Just as there is no movement without wind, so merit does not occur without joyous effort. So with patience towards hardships and others' harm in the way explained above. So in the way explained above, it refers to the previous chapter, the chapter on patience. So with patience towards hardships and others' harm, then if one wishes to quickly attain enlightenment, then I must undertake joyous effort. So it means that if one has the patience towards hardships and towards others' harm, then one will be able to cultivate joyous effort. Without patience, then one will not be able to cultivate a joyous effort, or one will lack joyous effort. Enlightenment will dwell in those who strive in the deeds of the perfections, just as a butter lamp and the like will not move without wind. So the accumulations of merit and exalted wisdom also does not occur without joyous effort. So without joyous effort, then one will devoid of the accumulations of 2 types of merits: the accumulations of merit and accumulations of merit of wisdom. One will lack of these 2 types of merit, accumulations of these 2 types of merits, and whatever qualities that one may have, then it will not improve. They will not improve, such as those qualities of perfections and etc. Then it will not improve. And similarly, whatever quality it is, so without joyous effort, so one will not be able to attain them. So such as the quality of enlightenment, with joyous effort, one will be able to attain it. Without joyous effort, one will not be able to attain it. So therefore, I should make effort, since unsurpassed enlightenment is contingent upon joyous effort. It is just as has been said in Chandrakirti's supplement to the middle way. So supplement to the middle way, especially this verse, this verse or these lines is always quoted in many teaching. It says, all excellent qualities, without exception, accompany joyous effort. It is the cause of the two collections of merit and intelligence. So all excellent qualities, including the quality of enlightenment, accompany joyous effort. It means that it's contingent upon joyous effort. So next outline is identifying joyous effort. Identifying joyous effort. Under this outline is the first line of verse number 2. It says, "What is enthusiasm? It is enthusiasm about virtue." So, in relation to these first lines of verse number 2, then there is a question. It says, since enthusiasm in regards to the afflictions is laziness, what is joyous effort? Response, it is enthusiasm about virtuous objects of observation. So the enthusiasm about virtuous objects of observations. So in our meditations, then when we meditate on the joyous effort, then we first talked about the nature of joyous effort, right? So it is intention, or it is a mind that is enthusiastic for virtue, or that is enthusiastic about virtue. So you can also proceed the nature of joyous effort in that way, or you can proceed according to this explanation or this commentary. It says it is enthusiasm about virtuous objects of observation. So it is enthusiasm about virtuous objects of observation, or it is a mind, or it is an intention that is enthusiastic about virtue. So because the soul length of the great, yeah. So enthusiasm in regards to the afflictions is laziness. That enthusiasm about virtuous objects of observation is joyous effort. So if joyous effort is divided, then it can be divided into 3, it can be divided into 4, or it can be divided into 5. So it depends on which text that you are referring to. So there are different divisions in different texts, such as if you were to follow the compendium of knowledge, or if you were to referring to ornament for Mahayana Sutra, then you will see different number of divisions. It could be 4 or it could be 5. So, however, if you were to refer to Lama Tsongkhapa's Lamrim text, the great stages of the path to enlightenment, or the middling, the middle length Lamrim, which is the middle length stages of the path to enlightenment, then there are 3 divisions. So if we were to follow the Lamrim text, then there are three divisions. So in this, following this commentary, then is divided into 4. So these 4 are the armor-like joyous effort, first one, and the second one is joyous effort of application. Third one is joyous effort of non-discouragement and being unperturbed, and the fourth one is joyous effort of non-complacency. So these are, if it is divided into 4, so these are the 4 divisions of joyous effort. So, and whether it is whether it is divided into 4 or divided into 5, it can be summarized into the 3 divisions, which is listed in the Lamrim text. So the 3 divisions of joyous effort listed in the Lamrim text is, the first one, armor-like joyous effort, which is the same. And the second one is the joyous effort of gathering virtues. The joyous effort of gathering virtues or virtuous qualities. Then the joyous effort of application, the second in the 4 division, is included within the second of 3 division, which is, it means joyous effort of application is included within the joyous effort of gathering virtues. And the third division listed in the Lamrim text is joyous effort of enacting the welfare of sentient beings. So the third and fourth, joyous effort of non-discouragement and being unperturbed, and the joyous effort of non-complacency is included within the joyous effort of enacting the welfare of sentient beings. Next outline is identifying the discordant classes. Under this outline is next 3 lines of verse number 2. It says, its discordant classes should be explained. They are laziness, adherence to what is negative, and despising oneself out of despondency.
다랑게 너는 지라게 가게 지금 거래 네 너무다 많디바 디스네 좋아 다 저거 좀다 많디바 디스 처음 이신 지내로 다 개와 두번에 지루미는 소화돼 좋아 다 지루 봐서데 다 데레 간다 왜 니만가서 빼 샤바이나 니만 지라베 라리기 로조 야보지 공쇼서 라바이나 당이든 인사말 가니 가 공투세 딩가서 에 지르베 지 두고만 지우마레 사 대장장 공한데 된저자이나 다 디세 초가 대하는 거죠 와 어디 니만 지르다처럼 두고는 뉴그레스 라서 들려야 해요 봐 담보니네 수속이 문팅이야 보조 가든을 뭐 이제 좀 보고 와 that is so one of the Matamato to generally conditions did it up, or don't see the this one do it. That meditation mambo you were what meditation mambo you were ready in a also don't know what you can guess on as an empire.
So the discordant classes of joyous effort should be explained. So it means that there are many discordant classes of joyous effort, and however, when these discordant classes are summarized or condensed, then they are condensed into these three. So the laziness that adheres to the pleasure of indolence, of physical and mental unserviceability. And the second one is adherence to negative activities. And the last one is despising oneself, thinking I cannot do it out of despondency with regard to accomplishing virtue. So the wordings are slightly different, and then another common divisions, the classes or categories of discordant classes of joyous effort that we have learned about. The first one is the laziness of procrastination, and the second one is the laziness of adherence to negative activities or ignoble activities, and the third one is the laziness of low self-esteem, or in other words, is the laziness of despondency. So, we have explained these discordant classes of joyous effort, which is laziness, many times before. So, in brief, the first one, laziness of procrastinations, is procrastinations is that you always delay, you always postpone practicing, you always postpone your Dharma practice or your Dharma studies and etc. Such as if I will next week, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, and etc. Only then I will start my Dharma practice, my Dharma study, etc. And another one is due to adherence to sleep. So due to adhering to the pleasure of sleep, or regarding sleep as very important, then due to this laziness of adherence, then you do not engage in Dharma activities, and that is also included within the first types of laziness, which is the laziness of procrastination. And the second one is laziness of adherence to negative activities. 講到其實咧，呢個地方戰你成日啲你朝下現象佢嚟攞，那有那啲持續佢嚟攞那。那so, so because of adhering to this pleasure of sleep, or you regarding sleep as something very, very important, that to the extent that you do not engage in Dharma activities, for example, then that is included within the laziness of procrastination. So the second one is laziness of adhering to negative activities, and then such as gambling and etc. So I have mentioned this before. So gambling, then through gambling, then one loses resources, monies, wealth, possessions, and etc. It also causes disharmony among family, between friends, and etc. So those are negative activities. And the third one is laziness of low self-esteem, or laziness of despondency. So, for example, if one is asked to or advised to meditate on Lam Rim for one whole day, then you immediately react by saying, "Oh, I am not able to do so? How can I meditate for one whole day and etc.? So then those are the examples of laziness of despondency or laziness of low self-esteem. So we should gradually engage in these Dharma activities. We need to gradually train in these Dharma activities, gradually train these Dharma activities without being affected by this laziness. Next outline is abandoning after examining the causes of laziness. Under this outline is verse number 3. He says, because of relishing the pleasurable taste of indolence and craving based on sleep, from not being disillusioned with the sufferings of cyclic existence, laziness grows very strong. So the meaning of this verse is, because of having grasped at pleasure with respect to the indolence of not engaging in virtue and relishing the pleasurable taste adhering to it and craving based on sleep, from not being disillusioned with the sufferings of cyclic existence, laziness grows very strong. Thus, having identified the cause, I should strive in stopping laziness. So here, it basically means that So it basically means that we shouldn't. So because of laziness, then we do not cultivate we do not cultivate joyous effort. Because of laziness, then we do not cultivate joyous effort. So, and the main cause, there are many causes of laziness, and then the main ones are without contemplating death and impermanence, the disadvantage or the faults of death and impermanence, and not contemplating the faults of samsara, and lack of fear of samsara. So one lacking fear of samsara. So those are those main causes that give rise to laziness. That causes one not engaging in virtuous activities, and also unconscientiousness. So unconscientiousness or carelessness. So due to carelessness, then is also one of the causes that we become lazy. So, and then when, like for example, the pleasure of sleep. So when we talk about the pleasurable taste of sleep or pleasure of sleep, so then we have to examine, we have to analyze. So whether this happiness or this pleasure of sleep is a fully qualified pleasure or happiness or not, or whether whether it is just wasting time in enjoying this pleasure of sleep and etc. So, and they are and also the pleasure of enjoying resources carelessly. So then we also have to check or analyze whether these pleasures or happiness are the fully qualified one or not, or whether through experiencing these pleasures, are they wasting time or not. So this is something that we have to analyze. So, and if we do not put in effort and only realize it much later, then when we realize it, then most of our life have been under the control of laziness, and then and due to this, due to being controlled by laziness, then we have accomplished all sorts of results. So, and these results are negative. So we have accomplished all sorts of negative results. So therefore, we shouldn't let ourselves fall under the control of laziness, and then we should stop this laziness and put in great effort. So besides those negative activities such as gambling, and including singing, dancing, watching movies, and etc., they are included within negative activities as well. So unless you have a certain purpose or certain reason for doing so, such as through singing, through dancing, then you regard it as an offering to jewels, to the three jewels. So other than that, so for without any meaningful purpose, then if we were to engage in such activities, then this is also a types of negative activities. Next outline is directly seeing the destruction due to death. And under this outline is verse number 4. It says, enmeshed in the snare of disturbing conceptions, you have entered the snare of birth. Why are you still not aware that you have gone into the mouth of the Lord of Death?
这里咱刚才知道看的书啊，几百册，知道看多，知道看的书才的，这刚才干的呢，知道看多才的，但台搞来搞不知道的哇，搞来搞不知道是，这书上，这刚才但他们刚才知道看的书啊，基本上是很多少身上，这点这个来了往，但是说最把钱的干什么？但来了往更多，以后嘛的，点的来了往的东西，这年龄老师说的点的呀，我学不教的是吧？님이 저 가려 내로放的送白呢那个님이 가려用的你这不가려用的所以我写吧这边头呢这给我了真把结果了来往的多要嘛也是那点是吧有了真把结果了有了真把嘛的呢来了往的送白呢但其他在那多些呢来了往的是那个其他看都把它记把是好的其他看是吧其他看的呢这样嘛他记把你要不给你要说的知道我是家境你要生给那家境的是吧？但是当年把你家的嘛，这根本就要在经济是本就要的你家很多，我在电脑去过基本的是，来了往多长呢？现在这里是吧？来了往的基本的其他看基本的，你要给家境，你要生把家境基本差不多也是，那地方的多嘛对，看到有了准备结果的也是在这里上。
Like a deer that has entered a snare and will not escape death. So first, in the explanation, so the explanation is through an analogy. So like a deer or like a fish that entered a snare or that has entered a net or trapped and then will not escape death. So imagine in the snare that is having come under the influence of afflictions. Such as the hunter-like laziness, then you have entered the snare of rebirth, joining to future reincarnations. So, why are you still not aware that many beings have gone and will go into the mouth of the Lord of Death? So, if we have entered the snare of rebirth, joining to future reincarnations, then it is equal to having entered the mouth of the Lord of Death. So, you should strive in virtue. So, one of the best topic to contemplate in order to develop disillusionment or disenchantment towards samsara is impermanence. So impermanence is the one of the best topic or best thing to think about in order to generate disenchantment towards samsara. And then with the analogy of deer or fish and etc. that have entered the net or being captured in a net, then one will not easily escape death. So and this laziness is likened to a hunter. So once once we fall under the control of laziness, then we are like the deer. We are like a deer or like a fish being caught in a net by the hunter, like laziness. So therefore, we shouldn't fall under the control of laziness. So if we were to fall under the control of laziness, it is equal to having entered the mouth of the Lord of Death. So therefore, we have to abandon laziness. So in order to abandon laziness, then we have to identify the faults of laziness. So then through abandoning laziness, then we cultivate joyous effort in virtuous activities, in virtuous qualities.
那对的是吧？那背头的是吧？我就知道看的是背头的是吧？这些，让对人际社会呀，积极同啊嘛，就当人家你了点把讲，多把他们嘛还意思，那地方就学过。
Next outline is explaining it with analogy. Under this outline is verse number 5. It says, "Do you not see that he is systematically slaughtering your species? Any craving based on sleep is like a buffalo with a butcher."
那这个听到这里看到，给你帮忙了是吧？让给你的这些的，给把的选拔，这么可能呢？看到蛮确实际的是有嘛吧？人把给的等地干是说给吃过的，看到我是痛吧，是吧？但吃过这个蛮不痛了吧？等地我是痛的，但是说给别生了做卡开，吃完没打把了卡开上了嘛的，但是说打把上这也上了去，这里你来了用那些电话了是吧？等地往等多，对，生说就去那嘛就把我是痛了噻。 당고에서 통우리 닌자힐로서 다 이게 보면 간들이나 림바기도 치와 통우리 단도 소소고 세나 초아가게 내봐 따바나시 선 단지 휴체모지 되미니들은 단 지금 말했어 와 지금 뭐라는 단도니가 대화라서 받아서라파 하자 차니 대화이나 더 마해나시 제로다 마해 신지와 다 루다 마해라서 루다 마해라서 가르스나 먼저 신지 스칸스나 라다 루자 탐바지 라와치네 야치네 참아스야 이바지 다 참아스야 이발라 다 림바기도 마세오디 다 신다게 싱아 부디세트나 신다게 춘투 자사 단도 세나가탄 지라하게 요 말해서 다 딘도나시 다 딘도 마해나시 두스 되네 디그레스 미고 말하서로 와 마해나시 되는 디그레스 다 림다서 다 좀네 좋아야 말이야다 다 참아스야이나 림바지다 노마츠 세오디 심마츠 자사 춘투 다 다론 단도 칼라사 대자 버마도 딘디 좋아요 말와 다 대가시는 다 딘도나시 지야요 말해서 다 안서 딘도를 쳐도 봐도 리지랑 자리에서 다 와.
So we have we have directly seen our friends, our relatives, whether our friends, relatives, family members, and etc. Whether they are old or whether they are young, then they have passed away. So it's something that we can see with our own eyes, something that we can see directly. Still, we are kind of like numb or no feeling at all, that due to grasping at permanence. So we still think that we are not going to die soon. So we are kind of permanent in that sense that we are not going to die soon. So it describes that our mind is kind of like, whether what happens and we're kind of like numb or not having any feeling to whatever has happened surrounding us. So due to this indolence, due to laziness, and etc. So and this being numb or lack of feeling towards what is happening in our surrounding, then one is likened to a livestock such as buffalo, such as sheep, and etc. So, for example, when these livestock, then they are matured enough, then they are brought to, they will be bring to a place, and then where they are going to be slaughtered. So, and in this. Within this fence, then there are many sheep, for example. So the first sheep is slaughtered, then the second one is slaughtered, and then the third one is still numb. The third sheep is continue eating grass and etc. So this is like numb. Whatever happened, then this sheep continues eating grass and etc. So it describes kind of being numb to whatever is happening around. So is it appropriate for us to act like a sheep like this or not? So and it is inappropriate for us to act like this. Next outline is, don't be lazy because one has come under the control of the Lord of Death. And under this outline is verse number 6. And then it's quite similar to the previous verse as well. It says, while the Lord of Death is looking, having blocked off every route, how can you enjoy eating? And thus, how can you enjoy sleep?
간다라니 지치지가 예쁜 치고 소자 치다 칸이와 치자 소자 내라니 기때 내려와도 마도와 된다도 들어와 다 지치나히 내려와도 마도와 그래서 밤에 와도 되잖아 단 지금도 해서 단 지금도 와서와 간다 제사 나가니 야부지 이런 말은 참 가사레스와 다 제사 내봐도 치워 내봐 나가 지난 도서 가사리로 이러고와 치워 내서 나가 요 말와 아 디가사레스 디가사리 내 간사지 치료디 예 간다 기디니라 상관이 로야와 이와다 디바니 다 가르마나 내 가르 상관나 다 대쇼스로 잡고 대쇼스로 잡고 이 딘디소사 다 니다 알와 차비 대화라서 다 딘디라 자와 민고 몽코바 이 간다 다 겨와라 좀 받치시리 제부레세 다 이놈은 봐 요마레세 다 데레 가나와.
So while the butcher-like Lord of Death is looking at his victims, having completely blocked off every route leading to the city of immortality, so how can you enjoy eating like a careless buffalo? So, so it's just like buffaloes. Then, in order to slaughter those buffaloes, then they are brought. They will be brought to a place waiting to be slaughtered. Then there is no place. There's no way to escape that place. So there's no way to escape that place also means that the route leading to the city of immortality is blocked off. So there is no, you cannot escape death. So you cannot escape being slaughtered. So it means that your way leading to the city of immortality has been blocked. So, and then that is equal to one has entered the mouth of the Lord of Death. So therefore, one shouldn't. So how can you enjoy eating like a careless buffalo? How can you? So one shouldn't fall under the control of laziness. One shouldn't fall under the control of carelessness or unconscientiousness as well. And therefore, one should put in great effort in virtues, in accomplishing virtues. So if one has already fall under one has entered the mouth of a Lord of Death, and then at the time of death, then it depends on, for example, the amount of your virtues and non-virtues or your negativities, then one will be led to that direction.
중세 로요나 다데 가서 시조지 로도 모두 도들이노 단 때문에 그러잖아 단 니도 진주이 지시드는 소사 사세 다 간다 단 니도 간다 요뭐 치도 그래 가서 빼는 가서 다 문제 되지나 간다 다 지주부지 자다오 내리로와 가서 지주부지 자야이 다 지체리나 다 되리로와 다 되리게 다 저배 간다 뒤치데 추신 저번 로그래 대치다 그 마신 빙하로들라 다 수도게 다 초니라 야고 사고를 쓰는 이 소소 간투주도 사고를 땡치다 칸을 가디치도 하고마디 레전 치주지 레처리 내가다 내 얘기 제가 말을 때고 이제 가래 지구 가르쳐보는 데 디쇼를 보자고 그랬어 네 까부 지구는 나고 지구는 디쇼를 보자고 뭐도 줘라고 들어와 디쇼를 보자고 되게 제가 말했어 이 가르치게 제가 뭐다 단단히는 무슨 추월을 마치 바로들라 다수도게 이제 돈도레스 대야 이제 돈도레라고 단도가 와 무슨 추월 마치 바로데 이제 대야 돈도레스 근데 추월에서 와서 가장 이거 가서 지가나마 에 도치마 유와이나 도도 도고 가서 도도 가서 치 추월에 도서 도고를 가서 치 세도 도서 도고래서 와 엔추와 대나시 상황판에 그래서 저기 단 년에 지내는 것도 말고 년에 제거래서 이러고 와
Next outline is striving in virtue because one will die quickly. Under this outline, there is an opinion, so there is still a little time left. So one thing that I still have some time. So in relation to this opinion, first two lines of verse number 7, he says, For as long as death is quickly approaching, then I shall accumulate the collections. And so then death is quickly approaching, whereby for as long as the Lord of Death has not captured me, then I shall accumulate the collections. So it means that, so it relates to the laziness of procrastination. And when we talk about when we talk about the lifespan of human, even in our era, then some people live up to 80, 90, or even age of 100. So those are considered very long life. So even for those who live such a long life, even death will quickly comes. So if comparatively, so death will come quickly as well. So comparatively, is still very short. Even though one live up to age of 100, then we regard as a long life. So however, this long life is still very short. Death, a lot of death will still come very quickly. And yeah, so therefore, within this short lifespan, so we should quickly accumulate merit, try our best to accumulate accumulations of merit. And because if we do not accumulate collections of merit before the Lord of Death arrived, then we will not have time to accumulate when the Lord of Death has arrived. So when the Lord of Death has arrived, then we have no time to accumulate any merits anymore. So therefore, before it arrives, then we should quickly accumulate merits. So, and then at the time of death, then it depends on our actions. So whether the black actions, in other words, the unwholesome one, is heavier, or the white actions, in other words, the wholesome actions are heavier. So it depends on which types of action is heavier, then we will be led to that direction. So therefore, death will come quickly is something that we have to understand, and is something that we have to think about. So death will come quickly. Then Geshe-la gives an example. Is death will come quickly, then it is like throwing a stone, throwing a stone down slope. So that this stone will fall downward quickly, right? Or it will fall down quickly. It will drop quickly, or it will roll down quickly. So therefore, this example illustrates how quickly death will come.
다 디오라는 디인가 다 남로지고 단 치치 레로고 디모이바 다디 남로지고 예다 대체 레로 판자는 디모이바 지시 샤세 다 간다들이 치치 레로 판다 디체 치사로와 치 심바 디체 다 레로 판가 지바나 다 디모이바 다들 그거 두고 말했어와 다베 멤버도 오지 페셔나 멤버도 오지 다 타치니 다 저나 니만 손을 뒤세바다 니만 찔레 뒤세 모두스 다 타치잖아 다 치치스 레서와 다디 대가로 당이 레로 뭐지 치치 두고 우리상 레로 지금 이상하지나 다 뒤수 쳐서 다 그거 두야 기가 말했어와 치사레스 단 좀 레서와 다 그래서 그 레가나 간리나 두요나 다 대원은 로자치 모두 다 뒤수 치사 다 그거 두고 말했어 다 레로 빠는 그거 두고 말했어 데로와 어디리셔
Next outline is not the proper time to abandon laziness. Abandoning laziness at the time of death is not the proper time. And under this outline is the next two lines of verse 7. It says, even if I were to abandon laziness, then at that improper time, what will be the use? So then, even if I were to abandon laziness when the Lord of Death has captured me, so since I will be making effort at the improper time, what will be the use? So for the slightest purpose will not be accomplished. So if we were to think that, so for example, when a doctor kind of like diagnose or even say that, you have only 3 days left, or you have only 2 days left, or you have only 1 day left, then only then you start to think that I need to abandon my laziness, and then it will be too late. There's nothing much you can do, and then even if you were there's not much purpose to be accomplished through abandoning laziness at that improper time, when one is diagnosed or determined, or your lifespan is only 3 days left, or 2 days left, or only 1 day left. So it will be too late to do anything. Then even if you were to abandon laziness at that time, it will be too late and you will not accomplish much purpose. Next outline is, don't be lazy because one could die suddenly without having done desired actions. Under this outline is verse number 8. It says, when this has not been done, when this is initiated, and when this is only half done, suddenly the Lord of Death will come, and the thought will occur, oh no, I'm doomed. Since death is quickly approaching, when this work has not been done, when this is initiated slightly, when this is only half done, suddenly the Lord of Death will come. And with regret, the thought will occur, oh no, I'm doomed. When I'm petrified and regretful, what can be done then? Henceforth, I should strive in virtue. So then this also talks about the laziness of procrastination, and it also talks about it means that if we without engaging in so if we do not accomplish what should be accomplished, such as accomplishing virtues and etc., so without accomplishing such, and if we only focus in worldly activities, so worldly activities such as work, career, and etc., money and etc., then if we only think about this, then we initiated a big project, for example, and then before it completes, and suddenly a stone falls on us, or suddenly when we walk, when we are walking, and then suddenly a thunder strike, then immediately we will go to meet the Lord of Death. Immediately we will die, and then the Lord of Death has come. So even the big project, whether it is complete, or not, whether it's half done or not, whether it's just whether you have just initiated it or not, then when the Lord of Death has come, then you have no choice but to leave it. So therefore, when we is not saying that I'm not saying that we should not doing any work. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't work or we shouldn't do business to earn a living and etc. So I'm saying that we shouldn't focus only on this. We shouldn't focus only on worldly activities. So these worldly activities to earn ourselves a living, and the Dharma activities should go together. Because these means of livelihood, they are the conducive conditions for one's Dharma practice as well. So therefore, it should go together. And when this Lord of Death suddenly comes due to a stone falling on our head, or suddenly the thunder strikes and etc., then we suddenly die. Then with regret, then even if you shout, "Oh no, I'm doomed," or you shout, "Alas," and etc., then it will be too late. So therefore, we shouldn't fall under the control of laziness, distraction, and then we should strive in virtue. Next outline is being tormented by sorrow at the time of death. Under this outline is verse number 9. It says, "Their faces flowing with tears, and their eyes red and swollen with sorrow. My relatives will finally lose hope, and I shall behold the faces of the messengers of Yama."
말은 지나면
진앙
지바메바다 현나메바지 소도바이나 나한테 안 당보도 되래서 치세 로아 아 대다 마슈바이나 간단 치 단치리세 저바메바지 당가 뒤지 졸라도 지란 로마성아 취재하고 종성상 스스로 되는 저바지 안 메바지 소그래서 어디에 대담 마슈 드린데 지바메바 소그와 지아메바 소도 양상했어 다마다 타마타마들 자리 다 치가라 다 현난지나 장자고 저기는 다 자자 리요 다디 근데 제도도요 와 다 치게 단 지바 장자고는 로사니 단 지바고는 로야데 다 수도비 디파사 강가데 나와 레고로 다 개와도 나와 찌레고 말이 치가라 리고 말이 단 지나다 현난 장자는 지게 주나 당연히 타주보다 때문에 수도비 이게 자체보다 때문에 졸란도 사리스와 어디를 그좀 제고를 해서 드리면 된다. 추워서 와도 님이 레스 당하지 나지 추워마다 와서 나디르와 나지 님이 레스 디스온다 다 주교하는 부분을 해서 드리죠.
At the time of untimely death, their faces flowing with tears and their eyes red and swollen through the force of sorrow, aware that I'm dying, my relatives will finally lose hope, while afraid I must behold the faces of the messengers of Yama, whereby I will regret. So, we talk about untimely death. So some people, they may count, they may think, or they may count that, I will be living to the age of 70 or the age of 18, etc. Then they under this then along with this thought, then they initiated works, they start jobs and etc. They engage in businesses and etc. So it will be good while knowing that or counting that how long I may be able to live to. Then they engage in career, engage in those means of livelihood together with Dharma activities. Then that will be the best. That we at the time of when working to earn a living, then we engage in Dharma activities. So, and if we only count how long we may be able to live live to, then we do not engage in Dharma activities. We only focus on those means of livelihood. Then before we live up to the age of 70 or 80, that as we thought we were able to live, then suddenly we are then we are destined to die. So there is no hope in saving oneself. One must die. So then, even if we are surrounded by our friends, our relatives, our family members, then they cannot do anything. They cannot do anything to stop the Lord of Death from coming, but to cry next to you. So, and if we do not engage in Dharma activities or virtuous activities, and if we only focus on those means of livelihood, and then within this life, then we accumulated many negativities. At the time of death, by remembering these negativities that we have accumulated throughout one's life, so because that is only thing that we can remember at the time of death. So because we have not engaged in virtuous activities, then the only thing that we can remember are those negativities that we have accumulated. So through remembering these negativities, then you may hear others say, you may hear these say that those diseased one, they see the messengers of Yaman, etc. So that they see the messengers of Lord of Death. So therefore, what we should do is we should make ourselves sorrowless at the time of death. We should make ourselves sorrowless at the time of death. So best is at the time of death, then we die without any fear, without any terror, and then intermediate is then we died without regret. So we die without regret. Means that we have spent some time in practicing Dharma. So much time. My life is not is not wasted. So then the least one or the worst one is we die with fear and die with terror and etc. So if we were to die a lot of fear with lots of fear and terror, then there will be no appearance of one has accomplished much virtue in that life. So it means that one will see the messengers of Yama and etc. Then one will not see the appearance of one has much accomplished virtues in that life. So those the positive appearance. So one will see the negative appearance due to negativities that one has accumulated in that life. So therefore, so therefore, make ourselves sorrowless at the time of death, and remember and reflect on the point that time of death is uncertain. Next outline is, from now on, if I don't strive in virtues, purpose will not be accomplished. Under this outline is verse number 10. It says, tormented by the memory of my negativities and hearing the sounds of hell, in terror I shall clothe my body in excrement. What is the use of such delirious state? So basically, this verse explains that from now on, we need to strive in virtue. So because if we do not strive in virtue from now on, then at the time of death, or when the Lord of Death comes, then through remembering the negativities that we have accumulated throughout this life, then it creates much suffering or sorrow in us, and then to the extent that one may hear the sounds of hell and etc. And then knowing that I have no way to escape death, then one will be out of great terror, out of great fear, and some even they pee themselves, or even they put in their pants and etc. So uncontrollably. Then therefore, and if you only start to put in great effort at the time of death, or when the time of death has come, then it will be too late. It will not. It is not a proper time to initiate joyous effort anymore. 啊，别去做下。哦，咁啊，十句寫過，等等，咁啊，十句寫過。那時候，等一陣。那时候，那时候，
这个记了是吧？
那时候，
然后就在这个，等于你把这个全人家生同这个的千人级的人，以及鸟我们这边人家当的没就不认识，学那个起码都得学是吧？
That's all. Yeah, so some out of great fear, out of great terror, some even pee in their pants or put in their pants, etc. So therefore, strive in virtue from now on. Next outline is having thought about suffering in future lives, abandon laziness. Sorry. The outline is occurrence of suffering is certain. The outline is occurrence of suffering is certain. Under this outline is verse 11. It says, if even in this life you shall be gripped with fear, like that of a live fish being rolled, what need even to mention the unbearable sufferings of hell due to the negativities you have committed? So this outline talks about suffering will definitely occur. So this verse explains that if even at death in this life you shall be gripped with fear like that of a live fish being rolled in hot sand, then what need is there to even mention the unbearable sufferings of hell? So if we think the sufferings of a live fish being rolled in hot sand is great, then the sufferings of hell is much greater than that. We stop here and we conclude with dedication. We dedicate these roots of virtue to the flourishing of Buddha Dharma and to the excellent happiness of all sentient beings. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of Buddha's teaching. His Holiness, such as His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to enjoy great health, to have long life, to enjoy great health.
Hello, Ken. Geshe-la is disconnected.
Yeah, so we dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of Buddha's Dharma, Buddha Dharma, mainly His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to live eons long, to have enjoy, to have excellent health, and may all their enlightened activities and holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously and spread in all directions. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to our beloved teacher, Khyentse Lama Sopa Rinpoche. May Rinpoche's holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously without any obstacle. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to world peace, and may excellent happiness prevail throughout the world.
Thank you.